Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk It Out platform. I'm Alec Lifshos, aka Trey Busy, and you are listening to the Shining the Light on Toxic Relationships podcast. This podcast is taught and led by Celicia Shan. Celicia has been doing a great job with providing us with information that's not it's available to us, but a lot of people are afraid to research it and learn about it. She's speaking light on topics and on emotions that people they become aware of, but they don't know how to express themselves, or they see it and they deal with it from social media posts, right? Like you could see people saying certain things, but like behind the lines. And what she does is she found a way to eloquently point it out and put it out there with this podcast. So I'm not going to go into too much detail explaining it, but I want to introduce published author and certified life coach Celicia Shan.
Thank you, Alex, for such a beautiful introduction as always. This week is different because we didn't get a question, we just got a topic, and it was on frenemies. So the title of episode 6 is Yeah, I'm Talking Shit Frenemies. So I'm working on no longer using profanity. So as you voted, the topic of discussion today is frenemies. Should we call them out, keep them on our team, or cut them off completely? So if you don't know or live in a box or under a rock and you've never heard of this term, frenemies are individuals who pose as your friends, wanting to be in your life and in your circle, but really deep down inside don't like you or want to see you win. So they watch and they study you to find the weakness so they can use it against you in the future. They're the ones that want to see you doing good, but not better than them. So when you are experiencing good things happening, they will defecate on your parade. So some frenemies are completely blatant, while others are hard to spot. So once I got this question or this subject, it made me want to go back and tap into my experience with frenemies. And the last frenemy I had to let them go, and it made me release a tear. Yep, just one. And I thought it was gonna be more, but it was just kind of like a oh, and I was over it. But it cut me really deep because I trusted her. I let my guards down to show my vulnerable side. And when I was experiencing great things happening in my life, she tried to gaslight me about myself to tear me down, right? We hear this word gaslight being tossed around now since narcissist and narcissistic personality disorder is kind of like the sexy thing right now, right? It's going around. And gaslight comes from a movie where this woman's husband, they had gaslights in the house and he would dim the gaslights and then she'd be like, "Are the gaslights dim?" And he'll be like, "No, honey, you're just going crazy." So eventually she ended up going crazy because her husband was lying to her. So another example of gaslighting is if you have on a red shirt and someone's like, you're like, "Oh, do you like my red shirt?" And they're like, "No, it's not. It's your blue shirt." And you're like, "No, it's red. No, it's blue." And they're just looking at you like, "Are you going crazy? Like, you can't see that the shirt is blue?" And then you ask someone else and they're like, "No, it's blue." They're gaslighting you. They're making you question if you are sane or not, even though what you see is what you actually see. So some frenemies are completely blatant, while others are hard to spot. And so even then, I still tried to apologize after all of the gaslighting because I believe if you care about people, you show them that, and they show you that something is wrong that they claim you've done, you should give that situation compassion, regardless if you agree or not. So when I did, my feelings were stomped and disrespected in that moment. So Since radically changing my life and not allowing anyone who was close to me to disrespect me, I had to evaluate the situation. I took a step back, and as I did, I noticed all of the subliminal messages towards me on social media. I know I'm not the only one who has experienced this before. You know, when you are into it with someone and then you're just scrolling and then you see something and you're like, I know they talking about me. So nothing is said to you directly, but this person goes the passive aggressive route by subliminally shaming you. And I look at this as bullying and abuse. Some will allow it, some will ignore it, some will respond back and even tag them in the post, but I block. I blocked everything. I believe a form of self care is not subjecting yourself to things that make you feel negative emotions. So if you know that someone is talking about you, and every time you get on social media, there's a subliminal post, there's a tag, and all those things that's talking about you, and then it puts you back in negative emotions, and your mind is spiraling over the situation over and over, that's abuse to yourself. And you owe it to yourself to protect your emotions and block that person out of your life. Delete them as a friend. Do whatever you need to do to maintain your peace and your sanity. So it was the ultimate betrayal to me because this was someone I genuinely trusted. This was someone I was considering as a lifetime friend. Now looking back, I realized whenever we were together and someone she knew started to show interest towards me, she would step in and throw me under the bus. You know, those little jokes that's actually, poking at you and talking mess about you. And, those sly little comments that, was meant to kind of hurt your little feelings, but at the same time, they were said in a joking way. It happened multiple times before I called it out. And when I called it out, it was brushed off like, oh, I was just playing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then when I was down, she was there. When I was having going through my difficult time, she was there for me and she supported me. And which is why I drew so close to her. But I had to think like, was this a way for her to receive my support back, even if it isn't authentic? Like I believe in supporting your friends as much as you can, but sometimes you just don't want to because you have other friends that you got to support, and sometimes you're tired, or sometimes it doesn't fit into your financial budget, and sometimes it just doesn't resonate with you. Like I host events all the time over the summer, beach meditation and yoga, and I have workshops all the time. But if my friends don't resonate, if it don't resonate with you, don't come. I don't take offense to it because I want people to show up authentically. Like I'm not doing it for you to support me. I'm doing it because this is what I'm passionate about. And if you are passionate about it too, come and share space. When you have the same energy that's flowing in the same way, it creates beautiful events. But when you have that one energy that's going against the grain, that's showing up just because they feel like they have to, that kind of brings a bad energy into your creation. So I always like for people to show up authentically. But there are others who take it personally when people don't show up for them. So isn't it crazy how all of the flags display themselves when you step out of the situation and not when you're in it? When we care about people, we tend to let the red flags pass us by until they hit us like a brick. So now, why do people like this exist? What is this telling us about relationships, right? Well, the first thing you need to understand is how people show up in our lives and how they treat us has nothing to do with us and everything to do with what they already have inside of them. Okay, that's key. So some take a lot of it personally. Now, don't get me wrong. Everything calls for self-reflection. So you can ask yourself, how did I attract this situation? What is this situation telling me about myself? What can I do to not attract situations like this in my life in the future? Right? Everything calls for self-reflection. So who isn't if you are someone who isn't secure within yourself, then you depend on the outside world to validate your internal world. Because you haven't validated your internal world, aka yourself, and the outside world is forever changing, you will become unstable. So internal validation is gained in our childhood in those first 7 years, right? And they come through our parents. So the relationships that we have with our parents, if they were trusting and loving relationships that displayed healthy love, then we wouldn't need this validation from the outside world. So if we did not receive this kind of love in our childhood, it leaves us as adults who feel unworthy. So without knowing this feeling of unworthiness can manifest into many things. Our personalities are a manifestation of our childhood trauma. So if we are unaware of these traumas and haven't done the necessary work to secure our worthiness for ourselves in our adulthood after some reflection and knowing where the holes are and filling those gaps, then we will find subconscious or covert ways to meet the needs for validation externally, right? These are the people that they feel unworthy. So they wear a lot of name brand and a lot of pricey stuff to make them feel worthy. The validation always come externally and not within. So this can show up as a frenemy, wanting to have friends and close connections to validate their worth, but only if it feels comfortable to them. What will make the frenemy feel comfortable is anything that does not display their flaws or bring them back to their feelings of unworthiness. So obviously, the other friend has no idea that their behavior is stirring up these feelings in their frenemy, right? Because they are just existing how they normally would. But because frenemies identify their worth outside of them, they will start to become uncomfortable. This discomfort will be displayed by backstabbing, defecating on your name, and having smear campaigns. So, smear campaigns are when they call as many people as they know and that you know, and they talk about you and bring your name down, and they call their grandma, they call their auntie, they call their uncle, they call your friend, they friend, her friend, everybody. And they tell them the same story to bring your character down, right? In that moment. So, bringing you back to their level is what makes them feel safe and validates their existence. So now let's look at this on an energetic level, right? Because I am, as you know, my language is energy, and I'm an energy leadership master index practitioner. I love saying that because people are like, "What the hell? What that mean?" And I'm usually like, I just understand energy levels and I speak back. But in everything that we do, it's energy backed behind it. So energy back behind it, energy is it. So if the frenemy resides on energy level of 3 on a scale of 7, right? Let's just say most people live in level 3. And I will do a podcast explaining the levels and how we show up in them and why it's beneficial to know this just for your reference. Because knowing me, I'm going to reference energy levels a lot. So we'll just do, next podcast, just talking about energy levels so you guys can understand. But for right now, just imagine with me, right? If the friend starts moving up to level 5, for instance, because great things are happening to them in their life at the time, if you are the frenemy who is insecure, you would subconsciously take offense to your friend's rise. It will feel uncomfortable because you are internalizing that your outside world wants you to be better, but you aren't. So even though your friend's rise has nothing to do with you, you will internalize it as you aren't good enough. And this discomfort will make the frenemy want to bring you back down to their level, 3 or 2 or 1, because when compared to themselves, they will feel validated. This discomfort could cause feelings of jealousy or envy. And I hope all of that makes sense. But this is what's happening on an energetic level. So now you see this has nothing to do with you. Secure friends will be happy for your rise. Insecure friends will take offense. So what do we do? And it doesn't even have to do with rise. This is an example. It could be just how they perceive you. They might perceive you to be prettier than them. They might, or more handsome, or smarter, more intellectual, whatever the case may be, that's calling out their insecurities, that's making them not feel like they're on that level, is usually what caused them to have these ill feelings towards you. So what do we do if we have these type of friends? Send them love, but from way over there, from a distance, right? Send them love from a distance. Like if you know me personally, you know I am an officiant of the block button. I am pretty bold with this one because I am very serious about my circle. And your circle should be filled with people who wholeheartedly believe in you and want to see you strive. You should rest assured knowing that when you tell them about your accomplishments and your dreams will be amplified because they believe in you and not dissipated because they have doubts and ill feelings towards your manifestation. If you don't want a dream or a goal to come into fruition, tell a friend of me and see. That's the best way to stop it because they're not going to send love to that. They're not going to send the energy of love and growth to that. They're going to send jealous energy, and that is going to stop it. That's going to, like I said, dissipate the energy behind your manifestation. So you have to protect your energy at all costs. Your energy is the most precious thing you have. And life will put you in positions for you to choose you. And guess what? No love is lost. So, if you haven't already done so, my book is on Amazon. At the end of the day, it's me overcoming the addiction to toxic relationships. And you can follow me on Instagram at continued underscore expansion. If you'd like a one on one coaching session, I'm doing a COVID deal of 30 for 30. That's 30 minutes for $30. And that's not how much normal sessions cost, guys. So if I were you, I would take advantage of it while you can. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them in. And that's all I have for you today. So see you in the next one. Peace.